Sometimes a major life event will require us to face something that we have been previously ignoring. That happened with my guest today, Heather Lutze, a highly successful and driven entrepreneur who had to face her bipolar diagnosis and make some adjustments in her life. This caused her to start her Crazy Good Life project and led her to a TEDx talk. Tune in as we find out more about what she's achieved. Hello, dreamers. Welcome to the Late Starters Club, giving you the inspiration, mindset, and tools you need to start something midlife and beyond. Remember, it's never too late to follow your dreams. Hello, Late Starters. It's your host, Andrea Vall, and I am joined by a longtime friend and actual roommate one time. We roomed together, Heather Lutze. And I am so excited to have her share her story about her facing her bipolar disease and how that led into this Crazy Good Life project that she has launched and also had a TEDx talk about. So welcome, Heather.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, yeah. So very, very awesome. And yeah, so you started your journey as, basically doing the
Oh, findability.
findability.
Yeah.
Yes, findability, which has led you speaking basically all over the world
Yeah.
and, just consulting with companies all over and a really great speaking career. And you then had to face this, diagnosis. Well, you were diagnosed before, but face this, in a bigger way, and you
Yeah.
chose to take it to a bigger space. So talk a little bit about that. What led you to make this change and launch this project?
Yeah. Well, I've always been an entrepreneur who's been very driven. I was driven in high school. I've been driven ever since. I got, I've never not been driven. And I
Mhm,
think what happened is I've had it my whole life. And I think as you get older and you get, I don't know, beat up a little bit more, like you lose relatives, or maybe you're having some conflict with your family, or a betrayal in your business,
mhm,
things that are big, which I had when I had my agency in Denver.
mhm,
So it just, I had 16 employees, a sign on the side of the building, everything I thought I wanted and to achieve in my
mhm,
professional career. And I just kept hitting a wall. I just kept I wasn't handling the massive changes that I was having to manage with my employees,
mhm,
hiring and firing, just a lot of things that were just they were really horrible. They were just really, I wasn't able to handle them correctly.
mhm,
Uh, there was never no sort of normality in my personality. It was always
mm,
go, 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 or I'm in bed for 3 days.
mhm,
It was
mhm,
never, I just felt like it was like self recovery. I just didn't it wasn't until something major happened in my life and it rocked me to my core. And pretty much my whole family just didn't accept it, didn't want to acknowledge it that it happened. And so that turned me into, I started to spin out at that point. My relationship with my family was estranged.
mhm.
My relationship with my husband was very strained. And it came to a point where I went to a very dark place and I didn't think I'd be able to come out.
And when was this? How long ago was this?
About 10 years ago.
Okay. Mhm,
So I finally decided I was going to not accept this. That's kind of my personality, is to not
mhm,
accept what the current status quo is. So I started getting, I went to my primary care and they give you the placebo that to make you think like you're getting something, but you don't, not typically. And then I had to find help to really diagnose my bipolar,
mhm.
and figure out what is my new life going to look like. And how do I embrace this new information? And how could I continue to do what I've done for so long with this new medicated life?
Mhm. Yeah. And then in taking this journey, you decided to make this bigger than just, you know, bigger than just, "Oh, I'm going to now proceed and continue to do the thing I've always done, you decided to then launch this Crazy Good Life project
Mhm.
and go after speaking TEDx speaking and talking about, support animals and things like that. I and for anyone, we'll have the link in the show notes here for sure to that TEDx talk. I watched it, it's really great. You go on with your,
Great.
yeah, Gracie, and just,
Yeah.
super, super cute, super fun, and a great message, for because there's a lot
Yeah.
of people who benefit from that. But what what prompted I mean, like, what were some of the challenges in launching this whole new business? I mean, essentially business and mission.
Well, I'd really hit a wall. Last December, not this December, but the prior December, my assistant of many years passed away from COVID.
Mhm.
And it
Mm,
really
yeah.
took me at the knees. It just,
Mhm.
and I just had such a hard time recovering from that. And, I just was not, I've been doing search engine marketing for over 20 years now.
Mhm.
And I was burned out. I
Mhm.
traveling too much. I had slowly started to detach from my business
Mhm.
and showing. And I'd had a trainer that had worked for me who had taken a very high dollar client from me.
Mhm.
Um, felt very obviously I wasn't I take these things very personally. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like I can't just be a steel Wonder Woman when these things happen. It
Mhm.
does affect me a lot.
Mhm.
And so at that point, I was like, okay, you've got to start looking at not what you've accomplished, but what your legacy is going to be.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, one of my gravestone, Andrea, she was really good with keywords.
And that is true, but yes, I
And you are so there that doesn't work anymore, right?
yeah.
So yeah, I was like, "Look, I gotta find something else that is going to feed me and
Mhm.
help others." And in a
Yeah.
way, my regular business was not. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and then how has that fed you, and what has kind of been some of the takeaways from starting this new thing? What
Yeah. And
have been some of the benefits?
it's been very eye opening. It's been a journey, especially doing the TED Talk. If anyone's ever done a TED Talk, you have to distill very important information in a very short period of time.
Right,
Um,
right.
so in the process of doing that, I had to really fine tune what my message was and
Mhm,
what outcome I would have liked to see from that effort.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
but dialing back, I think it was always like, I hear people use like, I have 52 references of the ways in which people use the word crazy
mhm, mhm,
things. And I would kind of take it personally. Like I'd hear people say, you're so bipolar right now, or, oh, you're going, you're just all of these different references. And,
mhm,
I started uh, firing people in my life who were not sensitive to that.
mhm,
I fired
mhm,
my hairdresser, and everyone knows who has a hairdresser.
mhm,
Not lately. Okay.
mhm,
Just
mhm.
was not of the same opinion around mental health that I
Right,
was.
right.
And so I started really like, who am I surrounding myself? What do I need to start educating people on so that I can feel like I'm making a difference?
Right.
And this is something where I never thought I'd ever get paid because I didn't want to get paid.
Mm,
Right. Let's be back on the road doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing for my other business.
mhm,
I want to be home. I'm 50
mhm.
years old. I've kind of stopped the glamorous life of travel has
Yeah,
long been gone. Long,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So anyway, it just was something I bought the domain and then I got a logo done. I'm really good at that because I'm a marketer.
Right.
I had to pay a nice amount of money for the domain. So that was something I had to really once I
Mm.
paid that money for the domain, I'm like, okay, you better do something with this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah. So that's kinda I just started one little step at a time. I was
mhm,
unhappy with my current sort of situation, and I'm like, "I
mhm.
gotta get diversity in my personal and professional life, or I'm not
Yeah.
gonna make it."
Yeah, I mean, I resonate with that so much because that is why I started Late Starters Club as well. It was like I've just been doing Facebook ads and social media for so long. It was
Yeah.
like I wanted to, have this different saying that was inspiring and, I don't know if Facebook ads are inspiring necessarily, but, just yeah,
Try.
but but yeah, I think and I'm curious for you, did you find that it, gave you how has it affected your main business? Because obviously,
Mm,
this is something that will grow and is probably not full time at this point. What
yeah,
you're doing with it, I know you've got like workshops and keynotes and a book coming and things
yeah,
like that.
and assessment.
But right, but how has it affected your current business and in launching this kind of side project?
I think it's opened up. I think I kind of come across as, I don't know, maybe a bit steely
Hmm.
because I'm so focused and so driven. And I think what the Crazy Good Life Project is let me be vulnerable, to let people
Mm,
be past who they think I am and to really maybe connect with me on a more personal level.
right?
So it's opened up relationships with me. It's opened up some amazing conversations.
Yeah.
People, mental health, they see mental health on there. And I mean, I've had ladies in dollar store and in home goods, and they just open up their personal life to me. They pet Gracie, and
Hmm.
I give them a little. I have a little business card that has my TEDx talk on it, and
Right.
give
Right.
them because I want to be able to continue the conversation. And
Yeah.
people just open up to me and tell me things that are like, "Wow, I never would have thought that anyone would have seen me as someone who would they want to tell me their personal, tragic personal stories."
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so that was something I didn't anticipate, and I think that people would have never seen that side of me unless I made a very specific effort to do that. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't maybe it's because of just who I am or whatever, but I'm just not I don't, like, just plop down and start talking about my personal life. That's just
Yeah.
not really who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is a scary thing as a business owner, as someone who,
Yeah.
has this career, especially you're in very much a B2B space and the C-suite world and all
Yeah,
this stuff that it is almost like we have to compartmentalize
yeah,
these things so much that we aren't really feeling like we're our true self
right.
in our business, and especially being, kind of you know, feeling like you have to be corporate or brand, be on brand all the time and things like that. But
It's
I think,
exhausting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And I think when we are more vulnerable, it actually attracts the right types of clients to us who appreciate that and
Right.
who resonate with that and feel more comfortable then being their true selves as well.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I speak for Vistage, and they have these leaders called chairs, and the chair started the meeting with not with what my accomplishments were as a businesswoman, but with the TED Talk.
Wow.
And I was taken aback because I'm like, what are these people going to think of me knowing that I have bipolar? They're going to bring all their baggage and misunderstanding around what that means now, as opposed to what I know and why I'm there. They're now already kind of in their head, like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen? Who is it? Like
Right.
everyone I believe that people have understandings of mental health primarily from the entertainment industry. So the
Yep.
entertainment industry has created American Horror Story, right? Asylum. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. There's so many negative representations of mental health that has been firmly ingrained in the minds, I think, of Americans
Hmm.
specifically. And when someone outs me in front of a group before I've had a chance to show them who I am professionally,
Right.
I get very self conscious and very worried because
Hmm.
I don't know that people know what that means, how it
Hmm.
should look, and should they almost I think they have to protect themselves
Hmm.
because the word bipolar is something that people just don't fundamentally understand what that means. Either you're going to be
Right.
crazy over the top or you're going to be suicidal, right? No,
Hmm.
not that. Yes, it is polar opposites, but it is not always to that
Right.
level, right? And
Hmm.
I want to be an example of what bipolar can look like. It doesn't have to be the way you think it might be.
Hmm.
Highly functional. You can run your own business. You can travel the world. You can write books. You can do all this if you
Right.
take responsibility for what's happening and not just let it consume you.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I've always
And
sort of yeah, go ahead.
And so what did happen in that meeting when, did you feel a different energy from people, or did they come up to you afterwards, or how did that then play out when they made that introduction that way?
Yeah, I was worried, but I
Mhm.
just get over it and get back on stage, right? So I just got back in front of the group and talked about what my I didn't really address it.
Mhm.
I just said, I'm also a CEO and run a search engine marketing company.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
was interesting is on the break, the CEOs will come up to me and say, boy, do I have a story to tell you? Or
Yeah.
I lost my brother, or I lost my sister, or so I have to sort of
Right.
armor up a little bit because I have to
Mhm.
protect hearts because
Mhm.
these stories are so tragic and so sad.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or they have someone who's they're working with their children or
Yeah.
friends and they're struggling. And
Right.
people open up to me like, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, I don't know what I thought was going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I just didn't expect that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that really speaks to the fact that it is so misunderstood. Our mental health is so misunderstood, and it's so needed that we get this information about out there about this. Even, for I have a friend who her brother is schizophrenic, and what does that mean? And how do
I,
it's like, so what does that look like? And how can you see the signs when someone is needing a little bit of extra assistance? And, if we can all understand these mental conditions a little bit more, we can be kinder and be more accepting, and hopefully realize that it's so much more common than we
oh,
even think. It's not something that needs to be hidden or ashamed of or anything. It's just our brains can work in different ways, and it can be a gift.
well, one in five adults will experience some kind of mental health break in their
Mhm.
life.
Yeah,
One in
and
five.
it's
So
huge.
it's not, yeah, there's a lot of hiding. There's a lot of
Mhm. Yeah.
embarrassment, a lot of um, self-doubt and
Mhm.
beating yourself up about it. And it's just the stories I predominantly hear are not good.
Mhm.
They're not like,
Mhm.
oh my God, my sister had bipolar and now she's totally, totally rocking it and she's trapped,
Yeah.
I don't hear that
Uh-huh.
ever, ever.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm programmed the way I am to not accept that. Been
Mm.
some I've always been kind of a game on person, like, "Oh, you think I have bipolar? You don't think I can run my own business? You don't think I can do it on meds?" Like, I've always kind of been that way. Uh,
Mhm.
and it was tough. I had a year of crying on the road.
Mm.
I
Mm.
would call my husband because I was on this medication and I didn't think I could do what I'd done my whole life. I couldn't, because it numbed me. I felt like I couldn't be at my best if I felt numb.
Mm.
But what
Mhm.
I didn't realize is the medication was actually making me feel normal.
Mm.
And I'd never experienced normal, whatever
Hmm.
normal is, right? So that was something that if I'd given up in that year, I would have probably had I probably would have had a very different trajectory in what happened with my life. But
Right.
I'm not a giver up kind of gal. I don't accept losing my husband, estranging from my family, losing great friends. Like that was That was more tragic to me than anything else. And my husband and I are together to this day, 26 years. Mark calls it my 2.0. And at my 1.0, I'm at my 2.0.
Yeah, that's
So,
amazing, and that's wonderful that you've been
yeah,
able
but it was
to
tough. It was tough. I
yeah.
didn't like roll out of bed and like, hey, and we're back. And it wasn't like that in any way, shape, or form. And it took me lots of doctors and lots of testing medication and being able to afford great health care, right? A lot of people don't have access to that. I had to find private health care, which is very expensive before I
Mm,
got the help I needed.
wow.
So that's not something that everyone has.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely I mean, I think our system is not set up to address mental health in the same way it is for our physical health. It's
No,
it's
no, no.
it's so much different. So,
Shame
um,
is, I
yeah.
think, keeps people from talking about it with their doctors. that they can get over it themselves. They don't need any help. It's just they're going
Yep.
through a bad spell. Um, it I think it comes to light like when people who are celebrities take their lives
Mhm.
and then people come out, Mariah Carey is bipolar. A lot of very famous people have come forward with their bipolar diagnosis and they are highly functional celebrities,
Right.
right? And
Right.
you just don't know the pain and suffering behind what they've been through to even come out as Mariah Carey or whoever and say, guess what? I'm a bipolar too.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge because it destigmatizes it. It allows I mean, when we all, um, I think for any of these things that are, uh, to do with mental health, any depression, suffering, anything like that, it just helps to bring things to light, and it not only helps ourselves, but you don't even know who it's helping, who is then given the power to make their voice heard and share
Right.
their story as well.
Well, I
So
think
that
Gracie kind of gives a buffer
yep.
to that awkward conversation because you just want to love on a dog.
Mhm.
All
Yeah,
it is,
so
right?
right, right. So let's talk about having a support animal, Gracie, and what that does for you. And I know you address that in your TED Talk, but
Yeah.
just for people who might not even know what a support animal can do for someone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I like to think of it as three categories. One category is an emotional support animal. So
Mhm,
that can be any animal that gives you comfort. Okay. So non-judgmental comfort, meaning if it's a peacock, a horse, I don't care what it is their choice to be comforted by that thing.
mhm,
Right? So there's a lot of judgment. And I think that the ESA situation with flying and it being abused has changed, obviously, the laws. But that does not mean that an ESA is not real. It doesn't mean that ESA is just to bring my pet along for the ride. It is something that they feel strongly enough to bring that animal with them and suffer the judgment of what that is.
mhm,
Like I always think, like the vest is fooling no one. Right? When you walk into a place, they're like, yeah, right. A chihuahua. Yeah, that's a service animal.
mhm.
Because I think the only valid way is an actual service dog that maybe someone who's blind has,
Right.
right? You have a very archaic understanding of what a service dog is. And then we have therapy dogs, right? Therapy dogs go into hospitals and nursing homes, and they're just there to give love. And they have to go through a certification process. You have to go through a background check. You have to go all kinds of stuff to be a therapy dog. So that's also a real thing. And then what my dog is a psychiatric service dog. So working with my therapist and my doctor, going through extensive evaluations of my meds around Gracie's behavior, around what she does for me, I was able to, and it's a pretty rough process to get a psychiatric service dog designation. Um, but she just helps me focus on something else besides my own brain.
Mhm,
Because I can't tell you how much I call it the carousel. Before I was medicated, the carousel was every person who had ever wronged me, who had ever said anything bad about me, was on the carousel. And the carousel would move around in my brain 24/7,
mhm,
which made it hard for me to sleep. It made it hard for me to manage my emotions. It made it I would just yell at everyone all day long
mhm,
about how horrible they'd been. That was what it was like in my brain. And so when I started getting medicated, the carousel stopped.
mhm,
And a big part of me staying grounded is that tactical or the tactic, what do you call it? It's the tactile stimulation from
mhm,
and hugging and focusing on other people and how they engage with Gracie keeps me calm
mhm,
in really stressful situations. Um, I don't travel with her
mhm,
because it's more stressful to take her than it not,
mhm,
but she's with me all the time.
mhm,
Whether people understand or not, I don't care because it's about what I need. So
mhm,
anyone sees a dog in a vest and you're like, that vest is fooling no one. It's none of your business.
mhm,
You don't have to judge that person by their choice. You can just be okay with the fact that they're doing everything they can for their own comfort. It's also psychiatric service dogs are also very helpful for people who have PTSD.
Mhm.
Now, is that less valid than a Chihuahua? Is a German Shepherd less valuable or
Right.
less authoritative or trustworthy than a Chihuahua?
Mhm.
Right.
Right. And I
Yeah.
guess if your support animal is a horse, it makes it a little more difficult to travel, right?
Well, yeah. It's definitely, they were definitely pushing the envelope of what was appropriate.
Yeah.
News also made fun of it.
Yeah, and I think that's it as well, is that, these again, these narratives get shared in media and,
Yeah.
people kind of mindlessly repeat them without really thinking about what
Mhm.
that person's life is like, without having empathy for what that person is going through.
Like empathy, just
Mhm.
for me to
Right,
know why.
right,
And
right,
maybe they're doing
exactly.
it for the wrong reasons and maybe they're not.
And how is it affecting you, right?
It's
That's just
not.
yeah, I know, it's like, why it's not there's
Why should you care?
and here we have Gracie herself coming on the call with us, and that's her. She is a super sweet little dog. I have met her, and she is just lovely, lovely, uh, lovely. I was gonna say lovely person. That's not almost right.
As a person. And she's not, when's the last time you met a nice Chihuahua? People come up, they're like, good parent. No, like instead of biting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, of course you can pet her. And she's
yeah. That's
yeah, because she's so chill and
that's awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
very great. That's so
she's very
great.
good at sleeping.
Mhm.
Very,
And
very good.
she had to go through a process and,
Yep,
have,
her behavior is assessed.
right?
Does she engage with others? Is she aggressive toward other dogs,
Yeah,
other people?
right, right.
Um, and she's just, just as chill as a day is long. But
Yeah.
she was, she came from a Los Angeles kill shelter.
Mhm,
So she
mhm.
was, she would have not been here had I not found her because she was
Right.
emaciated when I found her.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, that's
Really
so
bad,
sad.
really bad.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
so, I get a little upset when I see people getting designer dogs because there are so many amazing dogs that
right,
need homes, whether
right,
they're service animals or not.
right.
And I can't even imagine my life without her,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
that's awesome.
So, yeah, so
Yeah.
a
So
dog
let's
shop.
let's talk a little bit about getting started, for you on this new project midlife. How has your experience contributed to starting this new project, and how has it helped? And I know for sure, obviously you've already started a business, so that was a huge thing, but uh, other things that have helped you start this new thing in your midlife.
I have trusted my gut.
Mm,
I've spent 50 years questioning my gut. You can call it intuition, you can call it whatever you want, but this was an opportunity for me to just do what made me happy, to move toward happiness and service as opposed to closing deals and making money. Because I'd done that my whole life, but I'd never actually just done something that was completely for other people. It was for myself, of course, too, but with the whole purpose of not making a dime, traveling the world for an organization that just covered my travel. Me and Gracie would be on stages across the world trying to re-educate people around mental health. So for me, it was time.
yeah.
And I knew it. And I took small steps. I got a logo and then I got a domain. I'm like, okay, well, I'm making small baby step progress. Um,
Hmm.
it was kind of funny, Andrew, because I was thinking of other things I might want to do in this 2.0 life of mine. And I'm like, I started researching like doing a coffee truck. And I'm like, oh, that'd be so fun. I'll do a coffee truck and we'll call it Crazy Good Coffee. And, I had this whole thing. And then my friend's like, you realize you are going to have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh. Maybe tacos.
I was designing my truck. I was designing my coffee packaging. Like I was, right. And then my friend's like, "You realize?" And I'm like, "Okay, now we're done."
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
And we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did release some other things, but I had a calling,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
hope I'd love to be an example of what bipolar can be. I'm not
Mhm.
perfect. I have my bad days for sure, but I have more good days than bad days.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that the people in my life have supported me and it's really about not only what you do, but also how you educate the people around you to take care of you as well.
Right. Yeah.
And,
That's
and my parents come from the 1950s, right? So you think bipolar, they're going to go instantly to a straight jacket.
yeah. Right.
And it's,
Right.
yeah,
There's a
I
little
feel
bit of
like,
a generational, yeah, for sure, generational
yeah,
education that has
and
to happen as well.
fear.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably a lot of fear.
Yeah,
So,
lots of fear. So a lot of it has been re-education of what,
mhm.
like you said, schizophrenic. What does that mean? What does bipolar mean? What is,
Mhm.
you know, we're just coming to that mental health awakening, and it's the beginning. I
Right.
think,
I
yeah,
think so too.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I so appreciate all the work that you're doing out in the world to help get the right message to people and to help those people who may have a diagnosis or may not have a diagnosis and
right,
realize, oh, that actually sounds like it could be me and just dig a little bit deeper into that and hopefully come out as well as you have with all the things that you're able to do and the relationships you continue to keep through that difficult time. So that's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
So I always like to ask people, my favorite thing is, getting people's inspirational sayings or
Hmm.
quotes that they love. So why don't you share one of your favorite quotes? I know there's always a lot, but one of your favorites.
Oh well, one of my favorite. I'm a huge fan of Coco Chanel,
Mm.
and one of her sayings is, "You can be you can be gorgeous at 30, charming at 40, and irresistible for the rest of your life." Amongst many of her quotes, that that is one of my favorites. There are so many by her.
I
And
love
I
that.
have them in my email signature because I just so admire her. But,
Yeah.
because she's gutsy, man. In a time,
Yeah.
ladies, women did not do that.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
always been a big fan of hers.
Y-
So that would probably be one of many of my
Yeah.
favorite by her.
Awesome. I love that. That's great. We are in I feel like 50s irresistible.
Mm.
Yes, for sure.
If anybody's scared of 50s, don't be because it's freaking awesome.
I know. I was scared. I was
I
scared. I
love
will
it.
put
I
my
love being 50.
Me too. Me
Love it.
too. It's amazing.
Love it. Love it.
So,
Yeah.
great. Well, thank you so much, Heather. We'll have all the notes to get to your crazygoodlife.com site, your TED Talk. People can explore all that you've got to offer there. And thank you again for taking the time to talk to my listeners here. So, thanks.
Well, on behalf of Gracie and myself, we thank you for taking the time to hear our story today.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Bye, everyone. Hope that was helpful, and make sure you grab the free guide, Top Tools for Late Starters, on the website at latestartersclub.com. And let's turn dreaming into doing.